The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan. I'm Lindsay DeLucia. This morning, I'm here with Kelly Hunter, who's going to talk to us a little bit about how September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So, Kelly, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And you have a lot of experience with this. Your son, Paxton, was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about why September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and what we're trying to spread to the community.
Well, they dedicated September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month because more attention needs to be brought to it. Cancer kills more children than asthma, diabetes, cystic fibrosis, congenital anomalies, and pediatric AIDS combined. Childhood cancer crosses all racial and ethnic and social boundaries. It doesn't discriminate against anybody. It can affect anybody's child. It's the leading cause of death in children between infancy and age 15 in the U.S. It's the leading cause, cancer. You know, these little babies are being totally ravaged by this disease. Remission does not equal cured. You know, a lot of people think like Paxton's in remission. After the first 29 days, they could not find traces of cancer in his body, but he still continues with 3.5 years of treatment, and it could come back during that treatment, and it can come back anywhere in his life after that. Just because he's had it once, he's so susceptible to getting it again. So, you know, we face this for the rest of his life. It's an issue, and attention needs to be brought to that, what it does to families. You know, we don't have as much funding for childhood cancer because there's theories that nobody wants to see a sick kid. It's sad, you know. There's so many other things that people are, you know, we can get behind breast cancer because it's boobs, they're sexy, but, you know, nobody wants to see a sick kid dying in a hospital bed. That's, you know, who knows for sure, but that's one of the theories. It's just, it's a hard fund to get behind because we'd rather not think about it. And it's very important to me personally and to a lot of the other parents out there who have kids suffering with this disease.
And do you know any of those statistics or information about, you know, children in the U.S.?
Yeah, to hear some numbers, 46 children are diagnosed with cancer each week in the U.S. Every day, 7 children die with cancer. You know, they may be in different points along with treatment, but every day, 7 kids are dying because of cancer-related problems. Major treatment advances in recent decades have brought the number up to more than 80% of children with cancer now survive for 5 years or more, which that sounds scary. So if he gets cured, you know, he has an 80% chance of living for 5 more years. Overall, there's a huge increase since the 70s when the 5-year survival rate was less than 60%, but our dream would be to reach 100% cure rate without relapse or the long-term side effects. And that's the goal, and it's a pretty high goal to set, to say that you could cure cancer 100% without the terrible side effects. But that's what they need the funding for, because they've come so far so quickly. You know, treatments all the time, and I just keep hoping before 3.5 years are over, maybe they'll have something else that he won't have to continue for 3.5 years. Maybe they will have some major breakthrough that will make this easier on him, and I don't have to worry about his lifespan or the long-term side effects on him.
Right. So tell me a little bit about the information regarding health and prevention support for childhood cancer.
Like I said before, to push for the blood work on a yearly basis when your child is supposed to have that yearly checkup, they don't do blood work. And, you know, they do it with adults, at least they have for me, but they don't do it with kids. And that's a major reason to catch it, you know. You can see so many things in blood work that you can't see before the physical symptoms present themselves. So I would really push for that as far as health prevention. You know, if you see something with your child and you don't think it's right, you can push, you know, you can tell your doctor, this isn't right. You know your child better than anybody else. And if your gut's telling you something's not wrong, you need to push to have that examined further.
And what are some of the symptoms that at least you saw?
With Paxton, he presented with a limp. First and foremost, he was playing t-ball this spring, and I thought he sprained his ankle. I watched him sprain his ankle, And we were going on a couple weeks. I'm like, it's not getting better. We didn't take him to the doctor because for a sprain, you know, they wrap it, they give you ibuprofen, tell you to rest it. So I did that, and a couple weeks went by, and now his limp is getting worse. And I'm like, well, he's got to have a broken bone or something. You know, let's take him in and get x-rayed. So they x-rayed his ankle, then they x-rayed his other ankle, they x-rayed his feet, his hips. They couldn't find anything in the x-rays besides swelling. So at that point, after having probably close to 6 x-rays, they decided to take blood work. And that's when we got the call that he had blood cancer, which is what leukemia is, which I had no idea when we started this. I did not know what leukemia was, but it is. It's actually cancer that's circulating in the blood. It gets produced in the bone marrow. So that was the cause of his limping, was the bone marrow was producing the cancer cells at such a rapid rate that it was like exploding within his bones. So he had extreme bone pain. Looking back, some of his symptoms, the loss of appetite, some paleness, being exhausted or getting exhausted quickly. Now looking back, I can see that. You know, before I was like, oh, he's a little tired today, whatever, kids get tired. But those are all symptoms for us that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I do now.
And that's why it is so important to have a month
Exactly.
dedicated to it. So tell me about support maybe that you've seen in the community, or just that you encourage or advise for
Yeah, we have had help from both 2 organizations, 5 for Friends and Friends Together, I believe they're called, cancer support groups in Alpena here, and they have given us gas cards and emotional support as well. They're support groups. They've given us reading material, answered questions. They've just been there because there's not much anybody can do during this time, but just to have that support, to have the prayers, to have especially the financial support, you know, has been huge for us. And we had a benefit in Northern Lights Arena put together by Paxton's kindergarten teacher that raised a ton of money for us. And it's a huge relief because that's the last thing on your mind when you have a kid that's as sick as Paxton. You don't want to think about how the heck are we going to pay the house payment today, you know? So we've had benefits in that respect. We have possibly a few more in store. The community, we get, you know, checks in the mail from people we don't even know who want to help us. And even besides the money, just to have the prayer and support, to have somebody write a card and say they're thinking of us, it brings me to tears because, I don't know, Paxton's doing surprisingly well as far as treatment goes, and I have to sum it up to the good vibes and the, you know, all the thoughts out there for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are going to go into more of how it's affected you guys and things that you have touched on. So we have to take a break, but we will be right back with some more of that. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Kelly Hunter today, who's helping us spread awareness during this Childhood Cancer Awareness Month that September is. So thank you and welcome back, Kelly. Now, tell me a little bit, as we touched on before, you were talking about how you guys have received support throughout the community from groups like Friends Together, 5 for Friends, with gas cards and traveling. So tell me a little bit about what you've had to do traveling-wise to get treatment for Paxton and how this has impacted your personal lives.
Well, for instance, we are very fortunate for the financial help that we've received from the community, our friends, family, local organizations, and people we don't even know, you know, have helped us financially. When our first bill came from the hospital, it was $64,000 for one appointment. We've already put 5,000 miles on our vehicle. Eric has to take days off of work for trips. We've had oil changes. There will be new tires, which are not cheap. We have a vehicle payment because we actually had to buy a new vehicle that was safe for the amount of traveling we were going to be doing. And all this while keeping up with the bills we've already had. So, I mean, a lot of us know the cost that goes into vehicle maintenance. You know, it's more than just gas. There's a lot of other things, you know, eventually maybe new brakes and all kinds of stuff can break down on a car, and that's, you know, that's coming out of our pocket. So that's the financial help we've received will not go to waste, absolutely, and we're thankful for it.
It's definitely a hard hit on personal life and within the family, you know, so tell me a little more about how it completely just changed your lives when you heard this news.
To start off, there was a point when I didn't know much about this illness that I thought I was going to lose my son. That itself shot me straight through the heart. To rebuild from there has been a true transformation. I've made health changes for my family that I didn't have the motivation to make before. I've been strong when I wanted to crumble. I've had to hold my son down while they shoved a needle into his chest to draw blood out of the port that was surgically implanted. We sat in a waiting room in a puddle of tears waiting for our 5-year-old to get out of surgery. No part of this has been fun or easy, but we tried to grasp on to the positive things. You know, he's a lot healthier than some of the other kids going through the same treatment. He's doing surprisingly well. You know, he could have been hospitalized. A lot of kids have many struggles with this. They catch illnesses. So we're very thankful for that. We have to grasp on to the good things that are happening instead of dwelling on the things that this disease could take from him.
And how old is Paxton?
He's 5.
Okay, so in terms of schooling, how did that change for him?
Paxton can't go to school. Instead of socializing and learning with his peers at such a crucial age, he is at home all day, every day with me and his little sister. He's not even allowed to go out of the home to places with high volumes of people. So during the day, I can't take him with me grocery shopping. I couldn't take him to the mall necessarily. We would just have to be very careful if we did that. And you have to weigh, is it worth the risk? You know, he could catch something. The more people there are, the more the chances are, you know. So I'm actually very thankful that I didn't have a career after diagnosis to go back to. Because what would we have done then? Thank God I was a stay-at-home mom already, and I don't know what families do with, you know, working mothers who do have a career they have to go back to, because you can't, unfortunately, we live in a society where you can't just drop everything. You know, there has to be that financial support, and I'm really lucky that Eric, my husband, was able to support us on his income, and that I didn't have to rush back or try to find a better paying job, because I need to be at home with my kid right now and make sure that he's safe and healthy. You know, it changes plans for future schooling potentially, because he'll be on this treatment for 3.5 years, which will suppress his immune system. So his sister is supposed to start preschool next year, and he could potentially go back to 2nd grade, but I'm fearful to even do that. You know, I almost want to keep both of them home for the full 3.5 years, because weighing that risk, you know, you don't, God forbid that I would send him to school and he would catch something that would take his life. That's just, it's too scary to think about. So I have to think about homeschooling for the next 3.5 years, potentially, with him.
Right, and you touched a little bit on how you've had to change even health choices for yourself or for your family, and using certain things, health products, beauty products. Tell me a little about that. Yeah,
we have thrown away countless perfumes, deodorants. Don't worry, we don't smell bad. So, we found safer products, you know.
Yeah.
For instance, kids' body wash. I have looked up the ingredients. There are carcinogens, neurotoxins, there's chemicals that cause liver damage, heart issues, infertility. I mean, this isn't a kid's body wash that we slather all over our children. They play in the bathtub, and they think it's fun, and it's supposed to be safe, and it's geared towards our children, and there's chemicals in it that are potentially so toxic to them. So we've had to go out of our way, and it's actually really hard to find some of these products that are safe for your kids. So that's been, you know, a struggle. That's been a daily thing, just researching these chemicals, looking at what is safe, what's pure. And, you know, products that are marketed as green or organic sometimes aren't necessarily true. You know, it's clever marketing, and you have to become educated about the ingredients in these products and find what's safe, especially for our kids who don't have the chance to, you know, read the labels and choose safer products or healthier foods.
And so you also said, you've told me that you became part of a group of moms, right?
Yes.
So tell me more about that and how that kind of changed your attitude towards this and your hopes.
That group I was added to on Facebook is called Momcology, and it's a little play on words with the oncologists that take care, because as a mom, being at the hospital every week, I have learned what it means when his white blood cell count is up and when his red blood cell counts are down. Like, I'm starting to learn the medical lingo, and you know, that's kind of what that group is about, because as mothers, we're going through this, and we're learning to try and, you know, do better for our children. So that group is spread across the country, and it's just a place to come where you can share your joys, share your grief, where other people will understand, you know, the hardships of this, and it doesn't need explaining. You know, someone can say, oh, you know, my son's white blood cell count is down, you know, we're watching him for fevers, getting ready to go into the ER, and we all understand because we've all been in the same boat. So it's so important to have that support group of people that understand what's going on with you.
Right, and you said that these aren't just mothers or individuals from our community, correct? It's
Right,
from all
yeah,
over.
this is all over the country. These moms are on this Facebook page, which is, it's a virtual support group, but it's nonetheless, I could message them or whatever I needed to do for their support.
Right. Well, we are going to go on and talk more about what we can do in the community and why we're spreading awareness, but we have to take a quick break. So more on that when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Insights, everyone. We're here talking about Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, which is September. So we're here spreading awareness about the subject with Kelly Hunter. Thanks so much for joining us again, Kelly.
Thank you.
So what I want to talk about now is what the community should be aware of. This is spreading awareness throughout the month. That's the focus. So what are some things that the community should know about childhood cancer that they might not?
First and foremost, this can happen to you. Well, I thought this will never happen to my kid. I thought we made healthy choices before. But the type of cancer that Paxton has isn't genetic or hereditary. It was caused by an outside factor. So whether it be the pollution that we're breathing in the air, water contamination, the chemicals that they put into processed foods, even in our body products, and soaps and lotions and all that, this was caused, and they can't tell us what happened exactly or how long Paxton has had the cancer. We just know that it was caused by something outside, an external factor. So this could happen to you. No matter how healthy you think you are, you have to make those conscious decisions for your children. Because, like I said, it could happen to anybody.
Yeah. And so what are some of the things that these kids go through, personally or specifically? What do you have to do with Paxton that some people might not even know that they go through?
Well, besides the fact that he has to be homeschooled now, he can't eat food that's been out too long. He can't share drinks with anybody. I'm fearful to let friends and family come to our house because they may carry germs on them, lethal germs. This is a personal story I'd like to bring up just so people understand, really at an emotional level what we're dealing with. A week after Paxton's diagnosis, we had a family member pass away from a similar type of blood cancer. And he caught some sort of bug and he went septic. They couldn't fight it with antibiotics and he lost that battle. And those of you who know Paxton really well, he's really perceptive for a 5-year-old. So as my husband's dressing to go mourn his cousin, Paxton looks at me and said, "Am I going to die too, Mom?" And oh my gosh, it ripped my heart out of my chest because I didn't know. I didn't know the answer. And I pray that it doesn't happen, and I'm glad that Paxton's at a standard risk as opposed to a higher risk, or that he doesn't have a super aggressive cancer. It's a very treatable, curable one, so we're thankful for that. But there's families who don't, On the support group that I have on a daily basis, I'm watching the health of other children decline, and I've seen already in the 2 months that I've been on there, several children pass away. And it just shoves a knife through your heart to think that could happen to your child.
It does, yeah. It's a terrible thing. And kick cancer is something that you also brought up. So tell me more about that.
We wanted to know what more we could do. And I happened, by the grace of God, to get in touch with this woman out in California whose son has the same exact diagnosis as Paxton. By day, she is a nutritionist, and she uses nutrition to fight the cancer, to fight the underlying causes, because cancer isn't a chemotherapy-deficient disease. That's not what caused it. We use chemo to fight it, and I'm glad that it is effective. But we can kind of narrow it down to cancer is caused by either the body's inability to eliminate toxins or too much toxins are being brought in. So it's kind of hand in hand with that. And judging by the size of Paxton's lymph nodes on his neck, I would say that his body was having a hard time eliminating toxins. So she recommended we start something called the ketogenic diet, which is a high fat. Surprisingly, people think fats, no, but healthy fats are good. Fats in almonds, all sorts of nuts and stuff. And the protein, adequate protein and a low carbohydrate, because carbohydrates are turned into sugars in our body, which cancer feeds off the sugar cells. So by implementing this diet, our other cells are able to process which the liver then turns the fats into ketone bodies. So they can have a metabolic flexibility to feed off those. The cancer cells cannot. So they effectively will starve out when we cut the sugar out. That's one thing we're doing. We're following her. And to starve out the cancer cells. She's given us a lot of information that way. And she also implements proper detoxing. So we use a detox bath for Paxton using essential oils, Epsom salt, and baking soda, because that's a lot of times what causes secondary cancers, is once those cancer cells are killed, they build up within the body, and that will cause a secondary cancer. So it's very important to help the body eliminate that waste. We also use a castor oil pack, and we don't use it as a laxative like a lot of people think about. We rub it over his liver, and we put a flannel cloth over it, and then we use heat. And it effectively draws the oil into the lymphatic system to help kind of move things along and detox that way as well. That's very important. So we nourish his body with a type of diet specifically for cancer to starve out the cells. We detox him, and we use essential oils, which a lot of people are, I've been claimed to be a bit of a witch doctor with my oils. I've thrown away almost all the pharmaceuticals, ibuprofen and anything can be taken care of with the oils that we use. And if he has an upset belly, we use one for, to calm his digestive system. We use them to help with his immune system. And we also use them they've been shown in scientific results to kill cancer cells. So that's another oil that we rub on him to help in any way we can.
Yeah.
Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it's been shown scientifically that they do. And the research is available to anybody who wants it.
Right. Anything that works that makes him feel better. And so tell me more about what the community can do to help this, what actions that they could take.
I would say, I hate to plead for money, but that's one of the biggest things. If you can donate to the Kick Cancer movement, which is something we've been following, she wants to help kids thrive, not just make it, not coast through, but to thrive during cancer treatment and to help lengthen their lifespan and take away the nasty side effects. That's a great one to donate to, and our local chapters here that have helped us so much, anything that can be donated to just help to raise awareness, to help people going through this financially, because it's not, the financial aspect is not what you want to be burdened with when something like this happens.
And can they, donating blood, how much does that help?
Yeah, I would say that helps because Red Cross is always claiming a shortage of blood, and I see at the hospital how many transfusions are taking place up there because the kids' blood counts are so down that they have to be infused with blood, to help them survive. So that's very important. There always seems to be a shortage, and if it's not helping these kids specifically, it's helping somebody else. So that's always a good thing to do, in my opinion.
Right. And I know that gold, right, is the
Yes.
color of awareness. So what do you think, or what suggestions would you make for the community? It's not really recognized in the Alpena community yet. What suggestions would you make for the city to, make September more of an awareness month for childhood cancer?
I'm not sure if we could do just like a day of fun, like they have the Harvest Day, to bring awareness that way, to have face painting or something like that. I see on my Momcology page a lot, people will paint their fingernails gold. They will put gold lights on the front of their house or have a gold wreath on their door. Anything to get people to think, I wonder why there's gold lights on that. Right. Oh, because it's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and we need to bring more awareness to this. So, anything you can do to go gold, and in our technology age, the hashtag go gold or tweet and Twitter or whatever you want to do, because social networking is a big part of things today. That's a good way to get information out there.
Exactly. All right. Well, everyone go gold, as you heard, and spread the awareness for childhood cancer, because it truly is an important subject that everyone should know about. And thanks so much for tuning into Insights into Northeast Michigan today, everyone, and tune back in next week for more.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.
The furniture and set design for this episode of Insights is provided by Young Appliance Art Van Furniture on US 23 South, Alpena.